guys, welcome to Bible Breakdown. We're doing Psalm 136. The psalm is titled, God's Love is Eternal. So this is a pretty well-known psalm, and it's mostly because they repeat the same line every other line. So it says, His faithful love endures forever. After reading the psalm, I saw it as like a breakdown of different qualities of God and different things that He's done and different characteristics that He might have, just like a different arsenal of the things that God has done and who He is. For every 4+ verses, they talk about like a different thing about God or about what He's done. And that's kind of how I broke it up in my Bible. So for verses 1 to 4, I wrote that it lists God's characteristics. So it talks about how He's good, He's the God of gods, He's the Lord of lords, and He does great wonders. And then for verses 5 to 9, I said that it points out His crafty hand as a creator. So He created the heavens, He created the lands by the sea, and He created the sun, moon, and the stars. Then for verses 10 to 15, I wrote that it's giving God His credit for making a way for the Israelites and saving them from Egypt and Pharaoh. So just to read the first line of that section for like each verse, it says, He struck down the firstborns of the Egyptians and brought Israel out from among them. With a strong hand and outstretched arm, He divided the Red Sea and led Israel through, but hurled Pharaoh and his army into the Red Sea. So going back to like what I said at the beginning when I was talking about like every other line, I feel like if you read the beginning of each line, like not the His faithful love endures forever part, it would just be telling a story about different things that God's done, the way that God acts, the way that God's led His people out of hard times, etc. And then continuing from there, for verses 16 to 22, I wrote the mighty acts of God are shown, and it all leads back to how He is a provider. So this specific section talks about the people in the wilderness and how God delivered for them. Here specifically, it talks about how He struck down the different kings and granted them their land as the inheritance. And them being the Israelites, so He gave the Israelites that land of inheritance. Then to end the psalm, for verses 23 to 26, I wrote that God will always be there to lend a helping hand. He will never leave. With that being said, we should always be grateful for the way He always brings us through. Just reading this section like I did the last, it says, He remembered us in our humiliation and rescued us from our foes. He gives food to every creature. Give thanks to God of heaven. I feel like that in itself is just painting a beautiful picture of how God will always be with you through any stage of your life. Verse 23 really sticks out to me when it says He remembers us in our humiliation. Usually when things like that happen, people run, people hide, people act like they don't know you, but God is the only one that will stick beside you no matter what. So with that being said, let's give God thanks because His faithful love endures forever. But that is all I have for you guys. That is the end of the psalm. I will see you guys tomorrow for Psalm 137. I love y'all. God loves y'all more. Have a great night.